Hi peoples, so I'm creating this new series in which I basically am just recreating cool shots from films and TV shows, but the angle I'm approaching this from is that I don't really know what I'm doing too much in Blender. I've only been using it for 3 or 4 months now, but the angle I'm sort of taking is that you don't need to have 10 years plus worth of experience to create cool stuff in Blender basically, and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I kind of work it out as I go along and do a lot of Googling, a lot of YouTubing to find out what I need to find out. But yeah, I thought it'd be a good chance for other people to see that it's not as complicated as it seems from the outside, and that you can create cool stuff. So this shot I've chosen is from House of the Dragon. It's just of Damon walking out of the cave with the crab feeder's body in one hand, the sword in the other, and his dragon sort of flying in the distance. So first of all, I had to find a Damon model, which I could not for the life of me find anywhere, and I certainly wasn't going to create one myself. So I thought, who's similar to Damon? Geralt of Rivia, especially from behind, kind of looks like him, similar sort of armor. So thank you Biswayan on CG Trader for this model, very good model. I'll credit you in the description. Anyway, so it was just a static model, so I've had to bring it into Mixamo, and I found this really good carrying walk case animation that I applied to it. What I'm doing now is Mixamo gets a bit funny basically with textures, so I've kind of uploaded and downloaded the model with the animation without the textures, and I'm just taking the textures from the original model and basically just applying them to the new animated Mixamo model, yeah, just so it has the correct materials and textures. Okay, so now I've got the walking animation from Mixamo. I basically just need to kind of loop it so that it continues indefinitely without stopping and looping. We want him to keep walking, but we also want the distance to go on forever, so we can choose when he stops essentially, and we do that by making it cyclic in the graph editor. So now I'm just creating a flooring basically. I'm using the landscape add-on in Blender, and I'm just sort of going through the presets until I find something that I like. Obviously the floor is just sand in the cave, that's all you can really see, is just a little bit of sand, so it's not, you know, it's not too much really, but I've kind of found what I've done here is I've added in the actual screenshot of the shot as like a reference, just so I can get a rough sort of like perspective and that. But what I'm doing here with that reference image is I've just got a Bezier curve, and I'm drawing a rough outline of the cave mouth, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert it to a mesh, and then I'm going to extrude it back like so, to create the cave. It's just a really cheap way of, because you're only seeing the shot from the inside of the cave, right? You're not seeing the outside of the cave, so it's just kind of a quick and cheap way to create that shape for the cave. And I'm using the reference image, and I'm just sort of all lining it up very roughly. I don't want things to be exactly perfect, yeah. And I've got a solidifier modifier on there just to give it some thickness, and like I said, it's not perfect, but it's kind of the rough shape that it should be. You can see the landscape mesh down the bottom, which I'll just give a sand texture to. Like I said before, I'm not trying to create too much from scratch because I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm kind of cheapening it a little bit by just using as much of Blender Kit as possible, especially for materials and textures. So I've just gone on Blender Kit, the Blender Kit add-on, which I use quite regularly just because it's so handy. I've just found a cave stone like texture. I'm messing with the mapping coordinates a little bit just to get it looking a little bit better. And as you can see, I'm kind of throwing on a sand texture there as well from Blender Kit onto the floor. I'm sorry if this is all too fast. I just didn't want to have a really long video. I thought I can do a quick one now, and then if people have any questions, then we can sort of dive deeper into stuff later on. But anyway, what I'm doing now is I'm just grabbing a HDRI from Blender Kit, just like a sort of overcast sky image texture, because you can't really see much of the sky in the original shot. There's a lot of smoke and fog and stuff, but it's definitely overcast, so that's sort of what I'm going for here. Yeah, so I think this one's gonna work, and I'm just dropping that in there. This is good stuff about these add-ons, is that they make everything so easy once you understand how to use them, you know. And again, I'm just messing with the sort of rotation and scale and stuff just to get it looking as close to the original image as possible. But like I said, there's going to be a lot of smoke and fog and stuff anyway. So it's mainly just for the light. But what I'm also doing is I'm adding in a sunlight here. And I'm directing it where I think it would be, obviously in the original shot, which is off to the right, and you've got that sunlight coming in across Damon to the left-hand side of the cave, because in the original shot you can see the left-hand side of the cave is slightly lit up. I will just say that I have got a second monitor I'm using for the reference image, so I'm constantly looking back and forth just to make sure that things sort of match up. But yeah, so that's just the sunlight there that I've angled. Now I'm going to start adding in a little bit of that furniture kind of, you know, the objects that you can see in the original shot. Again, I'm just grabbing them from Blender Kit. It just looks like a couple of like stools and a wooden chest, just to give the shot a bit more life, really, you know. So yeah, I'm just grabbing them from Blender Kit, just seeing what looks right, sort of trying to match them up as closely as possible to the original image. I think it's just 2 wooden stools and a wooden crate, and that's it really for that bit. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna add in a big plane for the floor, because we need like an actual mesh for, you know, light to bounce off and stuff. We can't just have an empty void underneath the cave, obviously. So I'm just giving that a sand texture as well. You can't really see the texture in the original image, but you know, I thought it would kind of make sense for it to have sort of a sand texture as well. But what I'm doing now is creating some of that smoke that you can see just outside of the cave, because obviously, as you know, battle has just gone on, big battle's just gone on. Lots of dragon fire, so a lot of things are on fire. But what I didn't realise you could do in Blender is basically create like a sphere mesh, and then just give it a quick and dirty smoke particle system, which again, if you want me to go into more detail on how I did that, I can in a separate video. But it was really quick and simple to do, just to make an object smoke basically. I'm just messing with the settings here just to get it looking good. And just like you can do with a normal sort of volumetric fog system, is I'm just changing the density and the anisotropy, just to get it looking good, because you've got to remember we're going to have the dragon coming in from the background, so we want to actually be able to see that. We don't want the smoke to be too thick and to sort of obstruct our view of that lovely dragon. And now I'm basically just creating some separate fog for the inside of the cave. It's just a cube with some volume scatter. Again, I'm just messing with the density and the and that's going to be like a separate sort of fog system. I don't really want that overlapping with the smoke, because you can kind of tell they're 2 separate entities. So now I'm back. I'm in my asset browser, and I'm just putting in some like rocks and stuff for the floor of the cave, just to give it a bit more life. I feel like there is like a rock in the original. Thing is, we need our dragon. So luckily I found this amazing dragon model from Sketchfab by Space Watermelon, so thank you very much. I'll give you a credit, mate. It's a fantastic model, really good. So I've just downloaded that, and it's animated already, which is absolutely perfect. So obviously now I just sort of need to block out the action and the movement of the dragon basically. So I'm just animating it. I'm animating the keyframes, just moving across screen from, you know, from one side of the cave to the other, and a little bit, you know, back to front. I'm messing with the smoke density as well, because like I say, you want to be able to actually see the dragon through the smoke, otherwise this is a little bit pointless. So as you can see there, I'm sort of just keyframing the movement of the dragon. Sorry, this is all going so quickly. I just didn't want you to have to sit through this took me a week overall, so you know you're not going to sit here for a week and watch it. So I'm trying to just do it as quickly as possible. But yeah, so now I'm just messing with like the smoke direction and placement, just so that you can see the dragon a little bit more. What I'm doing now is I'm in the compositor, and I'm just adding some bloom, some overall bloom. I probably got a bit too mad of this, because I just think it's great. But it just gives a little bit more of that like cinematic feel. So I'm just messing with the bloom settings. I actually prefer fog glow over bloom, but I mean, try all of them, see what kind of works for you. with this, I think fog glow works. Now what we're doing is I need to parent the sword to the hand because I haven't done that yet. So I mean, it took me a little while to get it right, but we got there eventually. So now when he walks, obviously the sword is attached to his hand, and I know his arm looks a bit funny. I'm gonna fix that up later. So now we needed the body of the crab feeder, which is only half a body. So I thought if I find like a zombie torso, and this one looks really good. So thank you Red Rom for the model. Again, I'll give you credit. I appreciate the free model. So now all I'm doing is I'm basically adjusting the position. I'm taking it out of its sort of original pose and adjusting the pose to how I want it. I'm a bit gutted here actually because the last sort of 2 hours of my work I thought I was recording with OBS. For some reason it wasn't recording, it was just a still image. I've never used OBS before, so if anyone has any tips or anything so that doesn't happen again, that would be great. But yeah, so now I'm basically just parenting the zombie, well, the crab feeder to Damon's hand. Well, what I've done is I've created a new vertex group for just the hand and parented that to Damon's hand. And then I've applied a cloth simulation to the body so that basically the hand stays parented, but the body is, you know, has weight to it and is actually getting dragged along the floor rather than just sort of being waved about with the movement from the walking animation. So originally I tried to just keyframe the hand's movement and it just wasn't looking good, which is why I did it the other way, which was create a vertex group for the hand, parent that, give a cloth simulations to the body. I don't have the recording of that, which is so annoying because I kind of learnt something new I've never done before there, and I thought it was fantastic, especially like with giving the sort of floor collision mesh so that the body actually drags along the floor and not just clips through it. So it's really annoying I didn't get the recordings of all that because I learned something new which I thought was great. But yeah, what can you do? So just some finishing touches now. In the original video, there's two little bits of fire in the distance beyond the cave. So I'm just adding them in basically as 2D images with on an alpha with a transparent background. Just because they're far away, they don't really need to be 3D models or like a fire simulation. It's just gonna, you know, choke up the render time. So it's just an image as a mesh plane I've imported. Shift A, image as mesh plane. Yeah, get rid of the background, and it's just to have the visual of the fire rather than the light and stuff it produces. So I've rendered that out in cycles. It didn't actually take too long, which is really weird. I thought it would take way longer, but it didn't. So now last little bits is I'm just doing some grading and some compositing in After Effects and Premiere. I've got the two images side by side there just so I can have a direct reference and I can sort of make my version have a similar of sort of colour and lighting and stuff as the original. I've kind of got a pre-made LUT that I kind of whack on everything and just adjust details as I go. Again, if anyone wants more information on like compositing and you know, color grading and stuff, I can go into that in a separate video. But yeah, for now it's just I'm just showing you the real quick process of just trying to match them up as closely as possible, really. But yeah, that's pretty much everything, and I'll show you the finished version in right about now. This is the original shot from House of the Dragon, and then in a minute when this shot's finished I will show you the recreation, which took me around 8 to 9 hours overall, and here it is. So let me know if there's anything that you think that could be better or anything that I could have done better. Like I say, I take a lot of shortcuts because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm sort of working it out as I go along. So if there's any part of the video that I think you should have done that this way instead of this way, you know, I'm always open to learning. I want to learn as much as possible with this software because I think it's just so fun to use. And if there's anything that anyone wants to go into more detail, then I can do a separate video on that. I've got loads of new shots planned. Like I said, this is a series. So I'm constantly on the lookout for cool shots that I can recreate, but I hope you all enjoyed. Sorry it's been so quick. I'm not great at talking. I've never really recorded myself before, but hopefully I didn't sound like too much of a simpleton. And yeah, if you could, like and subscribe and all that other YouTube rubbish, very, very much appreciated.